Hello and welcome to BU Podcast, where we explore the journeys of today's most inspiring entrepreneurs and leaders. Today, we have a very, very, very special guest who's not just creating entrepreneurs, but is redefining how we think about entrepreneurship education in India. She's the force behind Midas School of Entrepreneurship, a visionary who saw a gap in our education system and built an institution to fill it. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to the founder of Midas School of Entrepreneurship, the incredible Pooja Shah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Malay. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us the time. So let's start from the very beginning. You have a master's in entrepreneurship. What was that specific moment or incident that made you say, okay, I have to build Midas?
So, as all of you know, that I was a part of the Flame University
Yes.
in the pioneering years of when Flame was actually building.
Yeah.
And what one realization was that I loved being young people. Uh, I was equally young, but the fact that through all of that, I could impact a lot of people,
Yes.
even at a young age when I was in Flame.
Hmm.
When I came back from Nottingham, one happy realization was that I will have to create my own identity within this entire space that is given to me.
Yeah.
And I was definitely a legend's daughter.
Yes.
And I was trying to figure where do I fit in this entire system.
Hmm.
And the idea that triggered was that there are so many like me, whether, from big family businesses,
Hmm.
small and medium sized enterprises, where all the kids are actually joining their fathers,
Hmm.
whether it's retail outlets, manufacturing units,
Hmm.
but all of them are figuring who they are as people
Yeah.
because all their fathers are legends and they are in denial that they need to do something about it.
Yeah.
So I truly believe that Nottingham taught me one important lesson, that business and entrepreneurship are two different things. So धंधा करना और entrepreneurship जो innovation से build होती है बहुत अलग है. So I wanted to bring that concept along, and I think that moment when I realized that though I have my own personality, if I'm not able to showcase it in another way, accepting that I have a very, very good, strong backup behind me,
Hmm.
but I still need to build something of my own, was the
100%.
moment I realized that something like Midas needs to be created.
Hmm. You spoke about something very interesting. You said dhanda karna, which is the business, and entrepreneurship. A lot of businessmen call themselves entrepreneurs. What is the difference between a business owner versus an entrepreneur?
I think business owners are people who love routines,
Hmm.
people who like the fact that, गले पे जाके बैठना है,
Hmm.
पैसा कमाना है.
Hmm.
They're very averse to change in general, because set है system.
Correct.
जो चल रहा है उसको क्यों बिगाड़ना है?
Correct.
That is, I think, a very, very, I would say, a layman's language of defining business to me. But when you're an entrepreneur, I think the first thing is you break pattern. You are highly experimental. You hate monotony. Even if Nukkad pe naya restaurant khula, to you'll be the first one to go and try the restaurant there. Very, very, understanding that if there is a problem in operations, I need to innovate. If there is a problem financially, I need to figure out how I can utilize my resources. If there is a problem managing people, I need to have the understanding of dealing with everyone differently. So I think the sheer innovation part of the concept is entrepreneurship. And according to me, like my father says it also, and in Sanskrit, it's called the Antar Prerna, which is the real inspiration from within. I think entrepreneurs are super passionate. They are a little mad, a little crazy, and they love the fact that they can innovate, create, and celebrate their wins and their failures. I think that's what an entrepreneur means to me.
Wow, nice. Um, So, any entrepreneurship, any journey wherein you're building something or innovating something new is never a solo journey. You have so many people that come along with you, or they are your mentors. So, who were these foundational members in your journey?
So again,
And sorry, and what inspiration did you draw from them?
true. So I think very, very strongly, I would say my father. I
Yes.
think he's been a serial entrepreneur, a
Hmm.
true inspiration. The foundation of Midas comes from, his dream to create 10,000 entrepreneurs.
Wow.
And I truly believe that we are contributing to the larger purpose
Hmm.
of contribution to the Indian economy as well. Because if we are turning our students into job providers,
Hmm.
we are creating a lot of employment,
Hmm.
a lot of our own contribution in our small little way to the GDP of this country. And I
Hmm.
think, yes, that vision of my father Paraksha is very close to my heart, and
Hmm.
I think truly inspires me every single day to do better and be stronger as well.
Nice. So having this inspiration thing in mind, what are some of the foundational principles of Midas?
I think the first very important principle is excellence. I
Hmm.
think we truly believe that whatever we do here shouldn't ever be short charged, should never be half heartedly done, should be as lovingly made as it should be.
Hmm.
So, excellence is very important to us. The second principle is the ethos that we truly believe in is the Guru Shishya ethos,
Yeah. The
the relationship,
modern
the modern
Gurukul.
Gurukul that we
Yes.
call it.
Yes.
It's very close to our hearts because
Hmm.
the Indian education system has forgotten
Hmm.
that that relationship is so sacred.
Hmm.
It's so beautiful, and it's of love, respect, compassion, and we have so many students going to college that the
Hmm.
teachers beyond a point do not have that relationship or the space or the bandwidth to
Hmm.
basically have that concept in mind. So we take very selected 35 students at Midas. We really invest, every coach at Midas invests so
Hmm.
much in each student, and I think that is what stands apart as one of the uh, very important values at Midas. We want to really appreciate the potential that every student walks in with.
Nice. Nice.
And finally, I would say that one core principle, and I think we are defying the entire Shark Tank concept here. We
Yes.
do not believe in VCs. We truly believe
Hmm.
that if you have 1 lakh rupees, you figure out a business that works in 1 lakh rupees. So
Hmm.
you don't have unlimited resources, and I think we are breaking that pattern in a way that बच्चों को ये लगता है कि 1 करोड़ रुपया जब मुझे फंडिंग मिलेगा तब मैं
तभी.
बिजनेस चालू करूंगा. Boss doesn't work like that. You start small, make it big. And the effectuation theory basically is taught at Midas, which focuses on the aspect that you just evaluate the resources you have and
Hmm.
figure a way out within those means to create a business. So I think that is a very important
Hmm.
value. And finally, of course, focusing on creativity. So if you do not learn to get out of the box created
Hmm.
within a system or the society, I don't think you can honestly do different things. So creativity has to be nurtured. Creativity. So I think I'm very proud that Midas has created that space for students where
Hmm.
they can think differently and they can definitely come up with solutions which not normal people generally come up with.
Amazing. As an every business owner, entrepreneur, everybody is faced with challenges, and a good leader, good entrepreneur learns from those challenges. What were some of your early challenges that you faced? Because I've seen you build this ground up. What was some of the early challenges that you faced? How did you all do corrections? Like you said, how did you all innovate? And how are you where you are today? And what are some of the challenges that you see that you can?
So challenges are, is a part
Part,
of
yes.
this journey that you take up. I think
Yeah.
I was just telling my students the other day that you need to have a heart of a lion to
Hmm.
become an entrepreneur, because you're falling every single day trying to figure how the hell am I going to get up from this, right? So it's been 13 years, Malay. It's not been a short
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
But I think one of the very early challenges that we faced was people conceptually did not know what entrepreneurship meant.
Hmm.
धंधा करना तो हमको आता है,
Hmm.
सो तुम क्या हमको अलग सिखाओगे?
Hmm.
I think Shark Tank really changed that part for us, where a lot of people understood that यार ये हम कर सकते हैं.
Hmm.
So I think we started in 2013,
Hmm.
and people did not know how to pronounce the word itself. So it was
What are some of the funny things?
wrong spellings, wrong pronunciations. Even challenging the fact that, who are the people who are doing business today in India?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're Gujaratis,
Yes.
they're Punjabis, they're Marwadis,
Sindhis.
Sindhis.
Yes.
A few parts of, Kerala, you see a lot of business happening.
Yes.
But I don't think at that point of time anybody knew what the hell was going on. So I think
Hmm.
we were against the
Current,
tide
yes,
itself.
yes.
I think very much like Flame, of course, because
Hmm.
when
Yeah.
liberal arts was introduced, I don't think people understood
Yeah.
what the hell were we talking about. And today
it's a wave.
It's a wave.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do liberal arts.
Yeah.
And today entrepreneurship again is conceptually something
Yeah.
that is a wave again. People are
Hmm.
loving the fact that you can learn all of
Hmm.
this. I think another challenge that happens is the generation that's consistently changing.
Hmm.
So I think one thing that I keep very close to my heart is
Hmm.
keep upbeat with these guys.
Yeah.
Don't defy them. Like everyone's saying Gen Zs,
And Gen Alpha. Yeah.
they are like this, they are like that.
Yes.
But I think you cope up with
Yeah.
what makes sense to them.
Yes.
So Malay, I use a lot of music in my class.
Hmm.
I do classes at probably 7 in the evening and go on till 4 in the morning because it makes sense to them. But I know that they learn because they love what they are doing. And I think
Yes.
that's what a Gurukul is. You figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And I think another challenge that I believe we've come, we've actually crossed that bridge as well, where you need to keep upbeat with what's being taught.
Hmm.
So we are not following textbooks or having exams at Midas.
Correct.
But whoever is coming here has to be relevant. So
Hmm.
nobody can come and talk irrelevant stuff at Midas. And that for me has been a very big challenge, because you cannot have a concept that is taught here
Hmm.
which made sense 10 years back.
Correct.
So I'll be honest, like even conceptually, if you talk about import export,
Hmm.
they're changing every 10 days.
Yeah.
So, I think that is one challenge that we've overcome very beautifully by having, industry experts come and talk, or real-time entrepreneurs who are talking and they know exactly kya ho raha hai market mein. So I think
Hmm.
we've beautifully overcome that challenge as well. And finally, I would say that making sense to the world has been, for me personally, the biggest
Hmm.
challenge, because they would be like, how long are you going to do this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not working. This is
Yeah.
not a concept that's
Yeah.
making sense to anyone. And I think for me personally, that has been the biggest challenge, to make sense. Of course,
Hmm.
last 2 years I've been making sense to everybody.
Yeah.
And I finally think that people are getting the point. But I'm glad
Hmm.
that
But it took a good decade.
it did.
Yeah.
It did.
And for every business to be successful, you need that much amount of
And I honestly think education takes even more time,
time. Yeah.
because you need that goodwill, and you want people to believe
Yeah.
you, because nobody just sends students here or
Yeah.
kids to you because they are the most precious things to parents.
Yeah.
So they're going to be very, very critical about you and want to make sure that they're going to learn, they're going to be better
Hmm.
human beings, first of
Hmm.
all. So I think that's been the challenge.
Okay, so you spoke about parents and you spoke about students coming in, and a lot of the times you have people, I'm sure most of them are like second gen, third gen entrepreneurs who are there, but there's a very strong philosophy that you believe in at Midas, that entrepreneurs are made and are not born, right? So can you elaborate a little more on this philosophy? Why do you think so? Even if it's a family run business, people like students, their kids, when they come, why do you think that they are made?
I think when you're born in a
Hmm.
family business, it's in your DNA. I'm not denying the aspect that business runs in your DNA.
Correct.
But the reality of the matter is that you're good at certain things.
Hmm.
At a certain age, your father is not going to let go. And at a certain age, you are a liability to your family business because
Hmm.
you're not making money. Third problem is you're trying to figure out that I want to create a website, I want to bring in an app, but your father's like, you're an idiot, you don't know nothing.
Hmm.
So I think that's completely a fact that you are born, yes, with certain DNA of business.
Hmm.
But for you to really become one, you have to have certain skills and certain
Hmm.
mindset to become an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
बिजनेस ओनर तो तुम बन गए हो, तुम पैदा ही बिजनेस ओनर हुए हो,
Hmm.
but you need to have certain skills and certain understanding of the business which is making sense today.
Hmm.
What stands apart from Midas, I think nobody in the world does this, and I say this very proudly. uh, I run a program called Transcend.
I was just going to ask you about that, but great. Huh?
So during the mid part of the program, what we do is we really make sure that they're very self aware. Okay, so the
Hmm.
idea is you get to know yourself first.
Hmm.
Now, most kids know who they are as people.
Hmm.
The problem is when we get to the second part of the module where they have to accept themselves. So now the issue is most people are not comfortable with the person they're looking at in the mirror,
Hmm.
with a good, bad, ugly, everything.
Yeah.
So it's a very cathartic moment on campus when we are figuring out them to accept themselves.
Hmm.
And when that bridge is crossed, Mala, it's action. They just grow up suddenly. I mean, you
Hmm.
can see, I don't know what happens, and it's a very close knit, very intensive module that I do. Like I said, start at 3 in the afternoon, get done at 3 in the morning. It's very intensive, and it's intensive for every individual who's a part of that module. Now, what is the outcome? The outcome is that you walk out with a lot of strength.
Hmm.
uh, what I focus on is these are your strengths, let's focus on that.
Hmm.
These are your weaknesses, we'll figure out how to camouflage them.
Okay.
With your strengths, go to your family business, take up one role. Don't go and sit on the director's chair
Hmm.
because you're going to make no sense. You're
Hmm.
going to be a liability. You're a 20-year-old. Do not try and run the business.
Hmm.
So once you say, a kid is extremely analytical, very meticulous, organized, he actually might do extremely well in operations. So if these are his strengths. So what we basically focus on is these are your strengths. Let us take this role and bring revenue to your business through your role. Some people are very extrovertish, good at communication. We'll ask them to focus on sales and expansion.
Hmm.
We figure a particular amount of revenue that they can generate.
Hmm.
And once that happens, the father is definitely going to welcome you well into the business. तुम 50 लाख का जब धंधा लाते हो 6 महीने में, तो तुम वेबसाइट मांगो या कुछ और मांगो, your father is going to allow you to do that. I think that particular part of Midas is a stand-up part. That you're definitely someone who is created by knowing yourself a little more.
So I wanted to ask you, so far you're talking about kids. What is the minimum or the maximum age that you welcome students or people to learn? Because see, for example, now I am 37, I'm still learning. I've joined IIM. So there are multiple ways of learning, and like say I might start another business, or like I want to get into business or entrepreneurship at the age of 45. So do you have something for people like that?
So I would first answer the first part of your question, which
Yes.
is technically we are taking students from 18 to 24.
Okay.
And I think it's a beautiful mix, very close to my heart again, the concept itself that, when you're an 18-year-old, you're full of energy, you're very creative, and there is a basically bolte hain na dhacha that you want to get out of, which is a very interesting age to be at. They are brilliant. Malay, they are just honestly brilliant. You've coached couple of them here, and
Yeah.
you would have realized that these 18-year-olds have the spark that is
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yeah.
And then you have a 24-year-old who's wise, who's logical, who has seen the world from different angles, and he brings that to the table. I think when they actually, come together, these guys become a little more wise and logical along with their creativity. And these guys remember to become kids again and have that creative spark, think differently along with their logic and all of that. I think an entrepreneur is someone who's very rational, someone who thinks from the heart and from the mind. So if you have an intuition that something's working, you go after it, but back it with facts and figures. So your decision honesty will not go wrong if this is culminated together. So I think that is one aspect of the age criteria. But yeah, there have been instances where we have gone beyond that age, where we genuinely think that that person has the potential to learn. Because after an age, there is this mind block. I know it all. You can't teach me anything. But if there is a student who genuinely thinks that I can be learning so much out of this experience, we'll definitely take him. But yeah, in terms of 40 plus programs, no. I had a very interesting, we had our business idea validation program. All the parents had come, and it's a very emotional time on campus.
Yeah.
So everybody was crying and everybody was so excited and happy to see their kids perform so beautifully. So I still remember one of the fathers getting up and saying that we have major FOMO. Can you please start running a program for, elderlies as well, so that we can become a part of this?
Yeah.
So
Are there any
hopefully
plans?
soon, hopefully we can plan something and involve that age also to come and, have a good time on campus, learn more.
Yeah, it's like how as infants there are mother, toddler, father, parent, toddler programs. You can have like parents and kids the programs, like a short workshop, like probably 7 days, probably 10 days or something like that.
Probably an intensive
Yeah.
module together for the parents to come and be a part of it, and I think they'll be more than happy to be here.
Yeah, 100%.
So
So the other thing I wanted to ask is you said you spoke about businesses and how there's like how successful they become, but then there is also the other side to it, right? There are big brands, there are big businesses who have established themselves but have also failed. What according to you are the reasons for businesses to collapse, to fall? Can you shed a little light on that?
I might go a little philosophical
That's
here,
fine.
but for me, one of the biggest reasons that any place fails is when the founder or the people in the business forget the why. Why did you start the business? What was the purpose? For me, why is everything. So, for example, today, why am I focusing on the fact that I want to train just entrepreneurs? If you come to Midas, we don't do anything else. It's an ecosystem just for entrepreneurs. I'm not trying to teach people dancing. I'm not trying, to teach people theater for that matter. Or I'm not getting into psychology. If you see most institutes today, they're running multiple programs, which is great. I mean, I'm sure it works. But I think the boutique concept of entrepreneurship is what makes Midas stand apart as well. Most businesses fail when you forget the why, because so I'll give you a quick example. Say you're in the dairy business and because everybody is saying that you should expand to paneer, and you start making paneer as well. And then somebody says यार और पैसा बनाना है तो यार ये chemical add करो और growth होगी तुम्हारी. You'll be able to produce more, manufacture more. Oh, then why don't you expand to the entire Maharashtra, bracket? And then you start having weird cold storages where your paneer is not even fresh. Your milk is not reaching the right audience. So, what you honestly are doing, you're just going in circles trying to achieve something which is definitely bring you money. But is it sticking to your why? What if you sold milk only in the right place to the right people, charged a premium for it, and then grew exponentially only with that one product? I believe it works better rather than going in all directions, because you can't do everything.
Yeah.
So I genuinely believe that if you really philosophically remain with the why of your business and don't devalue that part of it, I don't see why it should fail.
Yeah. So there are two types of businesses. One is a service based, one is a product based. So now you're talking about dancers, and this is what struck me. So for example, if you can give an example of a service based business turning into an entrepreneurship would be great. So how do you look at these services as business? Say I'm a dancer, probably I'm a yoga teacher, or I'm a musician. Yeah. So how am I going to take this hobby passion of mine and not be like a freelancer or be a business owner, but change the way the industry works in that domain?
So very interesting. I just met an architect the other day. So he's a professional, like you said, a dancer. Some people who have skills.
Yes.
And they've learned those skills.
Yes.
So whether it's an architect, whether it's a CA, whether it is a doctor, see, today your brand is everything.
Correct.
Right? So you have the skill. Now, how does one become an entrepreneur through that passion and that skill? I think it's very important, one, to understand that you need to really put up a game on for your brand.
Yeah.
You as a person, it's important because that's your skill. It's not like you can ask somebody else to do it for you. The other part is that if you have a conceptual understanding of how to run a business, it would really work in your favor.
Correct.
So what if an architect knew finance, marketing, branding, operations, management, and maybe did a program like Transcend with me? I truly believe that mindset would turn him into a very, very skilled architect entrepreneur. So I genuinely believe that if you have a skill, if you brand yourself well, and you also understand conceptually how to run a business, you would do wonders. So what do you think? People who are coaches who are coming here, they are all running businesses.
Correct.
But they are actually service providers in their own way. So if I talk about Nirav, he trains about 800 IPS students every year. And he has, a very big coaching center in the heart of the city.
Wow.
Now, that was his skill. He was a great teacher. But he's turned that skill into a real-time business. Even you, Malay, for that matter. Whatever skills you've had, I think you've put all of it to use and turned it into a business, online business.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal because you knew what you could do and you sold it to the largest audience available. Correct. So I think it's amazing. Even, your wife teaching yoga and you putting that into a yoga channel and making money. It amazes me that that skill could actually become the biggest weapon to make money. And I think that's where professionals fail.
So Midas is often described as a place where you come and unlearn before you start learning something. So what are these things that people need to unlearn to gain the most out of your program?
So in India, you're a fish and you're asked to climb trees. Right? So I think it's damn weird. And we are constantly told that the teacher stands here, the student sits there,
Yeah.
and there is a monologue happening.
Yeah.
People are supposed to listen to you, and that's that.
Yeah.
I think we defy all of that. None of my students would be brilliant mathematicians
Yeah.
or crazy literature understanding in life,
Hmm.
but they are jugadus,
Hmm.
and they are, they have the greatest understanding of how to be a street smart person.
Hmm.
For me, that is important.
Hmm.
And I genuinely feel that the unlearning is to shut that voice
Hmm.
that is telling you that you're an idiot all the time. I think, your brain is so strongly wired. I can't ask a question. If I ask a question, what if it's a dumb question? And I know for a fact that we push students to ask questions in class. If we don't have questions in class, it worries us that have they conceptually even understood
Yeah.
what we have said.
Yeah.
So I think to make them brave, to make them, they are not stupid. They're not dumb. They just need to realize that there's so much potential and we need to really unlock that, for which unlearning is important. Because they have become so averse to learning beyond what is there. I mean, you're just basically going, reading textbooks, mugging, and then vomiting on all the, papers and the exams that you give.
Yeah.
Now, is that truly understanding? No. So I think that is what we need to break. I'll tell you one of the biggest challenges, again, that I'd like to mention, making students understand that they are not students and that they are entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
Because they start doing everything, oh, it's an assignment.
Yes.
I have to do this because my teacher told me to do it.
Hmm.
And I want to, every time I'll walk into class, my first thing is, tum log entrepreneurs ho. So stop behaving like students. And I think that is something that we break at Midas. And that's what the unlearning is all about.
Hmm.
That stop being, that undermining student that you were.
Hmm.
Start becoming a self-believing, self-loving entrepreneur to be here at Midas. I think that's the unlearning part.
So, we stay in a digital era. There are resources, amazing resources available online. YouTube is one of the biggest learning platforms. Plus, now AI has come in. Plus, there are books. I want you to shed a little more light on learning in person versus gaining knowledge from online resources.
I think they are so different.
Yeah.
Definitely, visual learning is great because a lot of people learn through
Hmm.
visual aid, and that's not wrong.
Hmm.
But I think, when you are, say, learning from a YouTube, for
Hmm.
example, there is a lot of external noise around you.
Hmm.
And Malay, I'm not saying this just like that because I've done online programs and, did some random learning on it as well. It's not like I didn't learn. But the fact of the matter is, it was never my priority. It was something that I did. Like, okay, cool, I'll just sit, watch one episode, learn, and that's that.
Hmm.
You're never invested in the entire uh, part of it because there's so much external noise
Hmm.
around you. When you do an in-person learning, I don't know how to explain it, but even as a coach,
Hmm.
it's so important to walk into a class and have the vibe, see the faces,
Hmm.
feel the energy.
Yeah.
And I think the learning is just so different because you're cut off from everything. You're in
Hmm.
it. You've actually made an effort to remove an entire year to be a part of the process.
Hmm.
And you can be a part of the process only when you're physically there. uh,
Hmm.
Online, great, you learn. It's something that it's like watching news and getting to know, what's happening around the world.
Hmm.
But when you're actually sitting in class, the learning, the vibe, the energy, the understanding is
Hmm.
just something else. Because see, we cannot take away the aspect that human interface is
Hmm.
something that changes everything.
Yes.
I may have a conversation on Zoom with you,
Hmm.
but actually meeting you in person is going to be so different.
Yes.
So I think it's just that I want to see students like transcend. I don't think I can ever teach online.
Yeah.
How will I ever? I don't think I can feel the vibe online.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference. And I think today's generation, Nomale, they have all the freedom.
Yeah.
They just want direction. So if
Yeah.
you're able to give them that direction, they just love the aspect that someone is telling me what I'm supposed to do. Not like you're telling them what to do, but you're basically guiding them towards the direction that needs to be taken. So I think we're very also, we don't tell students you have to do this. But in conversations, they figure it out that this is what is best for them. And I think that's what make the best coaches in the world, which
Wow.
don't tell you what you're supposed to do, but they give you the power to figure what
The
is
tools
best for
too,
you.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You were talking about the direction, okay? And I know for a fact that in Midas there are this idea generation kind of a phase that happens, and there are multiple ideas that come through from each student. Um, I want I want to know a few success stories. One that can come at the end, but um, how does that directionality lead to how it happened from like an idea to an execution to getting their first customers?
I think the idea generation phase is extremely important. Why? Because we're breaking the norm. Like I said, the unlearning part of it.
Yes.
See, the students come with absolutely closed, ears, eyes, head, everything. They just like, I have to learn. But we are trying to open all of that, and we are saying you walk into a room and you don't even know how many chairs, lights, and what is the color of the wall, because as you become averse to the empathy around you, there's no observation power itself. So the idea generation process really focuses on the aspect of empowering you to be an observer as well and empathize with the entire surroundings that you're in also. So you look at a problem and you look at a solution, and I think that is what the idea generation really focuses on. Now when you figured an idea, you figured a solution, great, but does it really suit you as a person? So that's where transcend comes in.
Correct.
Where we are looking at now, this is a startup journey.
Correct.
Now if you tell me to go into real estate, I think I'll be a complete failure. I don't understand it, I don't like it, and you need a different DNA to be in real estate.
Wow.
Wherein my father will
Exactly.
do so well in it.
Yeah.
But I'll be horrible at it.
Okay.
Right? Because you need a different DNA to be in real estate. But I feel that Midas is, that ikigai for me. It's something I love doing, I'm good at, and it makes me money as well. Now, why personality? Because I love people. And I think I have completely used that strength at Midas.
Yeah.
So I think you need to focus on what you're good at. What were the problems and solutions that you figured? And you go with the industry that makes most sense to you. Now I'll give you a very, very, I think it's that one example is stuck with me. So one of my students, he came from a political family. I won't take names.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of land bank. So the family kept insisting, boss, you have to go into agriculture. Eventually, your goal is to be in politics. So you figure it out and you be in agriculture. And he was a fitness freak, love sports, such a healthy person. And I would every day get up and say, yaar, tu agriculture kar hi nahi sakta hai. This is not you. Now he had a lot of ideas in agriculture. He had a lot of ideas for fitness. And I kept saying, you need to go into fitness, sports, that's your arena. That's going to bring you success. Now with all of this stress, he said, I can't do anything. I have to do what my family wants me to do. So 10 दिन किया उसने, वो गया वो agriculture में ideas, he wanted to start implementing those ideas. He worked on that. 10 days he was back. He said, Ma'am, I can't do this. You do
Wow.
anything, you figure this out for me, but you talk to my family. And I, we really made an effort to call them, have a conversation, and we said, you can't do this. Give him a chance. He'll really do well. And you have the land, which is right in the center of the city. Let
Yeah.
them, let him explore all of this. And they agreed. So he started 4 years back. Today, his academy is like, everybody knows about it, has heard about it. They have a footfall of 2,000 people playing sports on that
Wow.
arena today.
Wow.
And I mean, I can't be happier. So
Yeah.
you understand that don't do things you're not good at. It doesn't work like that. Don't try and fix that part. I believe you're good at lot of things. You should select the industry, the idea that is closest to your personality and stick to your why. I think that is what brings success to any entrepreneur.
Wow, that's an eye opener for me as well. Thank you. So, in a country where all the parents are always thinking about, placements honge kya, where it's a job seeker mindset generally in India because of population and all of that, right? And you are an enabler for job enabler people, right? You are giving jobs to so many people, right? Not you, but your students will. Uh, so how does that is it challenging to change the mindset, because there might be some people who might come through that kind of a mindset? What are the challenges that you face in that space?
I think it is the biggest challenge, 100%.
Yeah.
Because parents are not going to, okay, let me start by saying we don't have exams, we don't have books, we don't have a degree.
Yeah.
We invite only kids or students who want to really, really change their lives itself in terms of their career path itself. So you're not going to get a job. You are going to provide a job. So your mindset is definitely different. But thankfully, I don't know, there is a large part of at least every student, like, theek hai, we have 35, usme se 5 students have fought and come. Like they want to be a part of this. But the larger cohort, which is 30 students, I'm just talking about bold numbers here, parents have believed in the concept of Midas.
Wow.
And I think that is changing. I truly believe that, people have understood that degree, honestly, at the end of it, is a paper that they are getting home for better prospects in marriage
Yeah.
or future.
Yeah.
In a lot of families, Gujarati family, they'll be like,
Especially, yeah.
degree chahiye, शादी अच्छे घर में होनी चाहिए, all of that. But there is definitely some shift happening, and I can't put my finger on it, but I know slowly and steadily parents are coming to they're coming very comfortable with the idea that, what, if he's learning, if that's impacting his life, no problem. Let it happen. You'll of course have these 5-8 kids who have fought, they'll do lot of natak, get the parents here, I will have to convince them, all of that. But I mean, there's a larger part that's shifting that gear as well. So I'm very happy that this is happening, but not up until now. Ye bas last 1 year se I see that difference or that change happening.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that students who want to really, really work on themselves are not going to go in for placements, because it's a monotonous job. It is something that changes you as a person. I mean, you're no more, you can't hear your own voice beyond a point. And I think also a lot of Indians have realized that entrepreneurship is a career option. You can start your business. My only problem right now, and I want to bring this up in the podcast, is we don't have enough women coming for this program.
Why do you think so?
I think the parents are a little worried that they'll get married and then will this be something that they can continue with. Now, I want to actually tell you something very very beautiful. So whichever girl I've ended up convincing the parents, this is one thing I always say, that see, any parent wants the kid to be financially independent.
Correct.
So job to kal bhi they can say you can't do.
Yeah.
So if you have a startup or a business that is online, you can run it from anywhere in the country.
Correct.
So let those girls be empowered to really, really create their own businesses that can be run from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So rather than stopping them, send them, empower them to be financially independent. So that is something that I'm not able to, fathom beyond a point, that why are girls not taking up entrepreneurship?
I mean, every field you see women are just putting their step forward in, be it sports, be it education, be it whatever it is. Like every music, so many girl musicians, women musicians are there. But I mean, even I am surprised that you're saying, entrepreneur being such a like it's a statement of pride to be an entrepreneur, to start something of your own.
100%.
It takes guts, it takes all the, like, it takes nerves to start something, right? And you proudly say that, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. And I mean, I wish that this message goes, and then like more
agree.
and more
In fact, let me just give you a quick ballpark number.
yeah.
There are only 2% of the world that are women entrepreneurs.
No
That's
way.
it. Yes, you
are part of one of those 2%.
That's it.
Wow.
It's sad.
And I mean, think of it now. You are a person, you are a woman who is running this, and still people like girls or women don't come.
And it's heartbreaking because for me, I truly believe that women are phenomenal entrepreneurs.
Yeah, 100%.
Because see, the army also learns organization from the kitchen in the house that you run. See, they know basically, they're so creative. Suppose they have 3 vegetables, they know exactly how to mix and make something out of it.
Yeah.
They have very limited resources in terms of the money. They'll अपनी मम्मियों को देख लो, जैसे घर का राशन 10,000 में करना है, they'll manage everything in that 10,000. They'll at the end of it make everybody happy. So just treat like the entire family is like a customer. All the entire family is happy with mama. I don't understand why women are not stepping forward. And I really hope, Malay, on your podcast, we are able to create that awareness that they really need to believe in themselves and do it. I don't know what's missing, but we need to figure this out.
Yeah. Okay, so in the beginning of the podcast, you mentioned something as modern Gurukul. Can you, and Gurukul for most of our generation, or I don't know whether these guys have watched the film, it goes to the Shah Rukh Khan and Amitabh Bachchan film. The philosophy of the school, the Guru Shishya Parampara, and all of these things. So can you shed a bit light on like what exactly is Gurukul, what is modern Gurukul?
So I think, like I said, there are 2 things that the relationship has, the Guru and the Shishya, which is love and compassion. One part of it. The other part is they respect each other a lot. So the Shishya is learning, but the Guru is equally learning.
Yes.
And I think that is the beauty of a Guru and Shishya, because the Guru is never saying that I know it all. And the Shishya is also in that mindset that I'm going to learn a lot from this person. And I think an environment that can create that aspect is a Gurukul for me, where both love learning, both love learning from each other. And there is, the aspect of growth is what they keep close to their hearts. So, and Malay, it is also about giving that attention. Like, imagine you're a coach at Midas. Imagine there were 100 kids here. I don't think you would know anybody.
Yeah.
But for me, it's very important that within the first month itself,
Yeah.
like today, my batch come a month, not even a month ago, week ago. I know everybody's names and I know quite a bit about their lives now.
Yeah.
And soon enough, I'll know more about them and their families.
Mm.
Soon enough, I will be interacting with their families. For me, that is important, that I'm able to really know them as human beings. And I think that's a modern Gurukul, where we are not changing people, we are learning with them. So we've got the tradition and the modern world together. And we've realized that together, if we are teaching AI also, they need to not forget that they are not our consumers and we are not their service providers.
Now, coming back to the women question, I just wanted this question to get out of my way of
Yeah,
modern
yeah.
Gurukul. But what is it? What is that one message that you want to give the women entrepreneurs? Because there are those 2%, and there are a lot of businesses whose kids are girls, right? And they help in their businesses in some way, like some part of operations, some part of like finance, book, like something. But then what is the key message that you would want to tell them?
I think for parents or family business owners who have daughters, I would say give them a chance. Give them that push to, believe in themselves. Give them that chance for a year. Figure it out. Good, bad, whatever it is, they'll learn. And I think even if you said that much to them, they'll take that plunge. The parents need to start believing that my daughter can become a huge part of the family business. That belief has to come. Because ये constantly feeling that इनकी शादी हो जाएगी फिर हम क्या करेंगे, she'll not be able to contribute to my business. Well, that's all an if. First, let her learn, let her be a part of the business, let her bring change, let her feel empowered. Because the best gift as a parent that you can give your daughter is empowering her with this.
Nice.
For a daughter who, doesn't know whether entrepreneurship is for her or she should join the family business or no, I think grab the opportunity. I've been a part of the family business. Initially, a lot of people used to say, "तुम खुद का क्यों नहीं करते? ये this that." I think there's a time for everything. But I am very grateful that I was born in this family and the amount of opportunities it has brought me to be a part of this family.
Yeah.
So don't be dumb. Don't think that, it's there. I think you need to realize that it's there and you need to do something about it.
Yeah.
I think that awareness is important, that you're a part of something larger than you. You need to be a part of it so that you can learn. You need to be a part of it so that you can make impact and growth for them. And finally, take yourself seriously. For me, that's very important. Don't make it a mission to just get married and
Yeah.
move on. I think that's a part of life. Of course, it's important, but there's much more to life. And if you have a family business, take the opportunity to be a part of it. And there will be a time when you'll be able to do larger things on your own. But you figure, learn, be a part of it first. So stop, all the time doubting that is this good or bad. Boss, it's in front of you.
Yeah.
You take a chance, you take a plunge, and you'll become a part of it. So that's what I would say.
Now I wanted to ask you one of the most important facts. There's goal setting for any business, any entrepreneurs. What are your future goals? What's your vision for Midas?
See, I think my vision is very clear that I don't know, I'm not looking at a vision which is of numbers right now. My vision is that I want to be the most admired entrepreneurship institute in the world. And
Wow.
for me, it's very, it's important that I say this out loud. Because how much money I make is one part of it. How many cities will Midas have? That's another way of looking at it. What is the expansion goal? That's another part of it. But my goal is that even if I make Midas Pune one of the biggest places to come and learn entrepreneurship, and the world wants to come and learn from this place, is what would be my final vision. That I want to be the most admired institute in the world that, really, really fosters entrepreneurship. That would be the big goal.
Wow. Any short-term plans?
Short-term plans are that, we're working on 2 cohorts now, which was 2 years back, because now we're having larger applications. Like I said, parents are changing, kids are applying. So we're rejecting quite a few.
Wow.
Yes. And we're doing like 2 cohorts of 35 students every year.
Wow.
One is in August, one is in February. The next plan, Malay, which would make you happy, is we're planning to go online. So
Wow.
So we're planning, of course, not the whole bag of it, but the skills that we could teach online, because we've had so many people ask us that, do you have something online? And I think that would really
Expand.
widen our
Yes. Reach.
teachings as well.
Yeah.
So we're planning to launch by the year end our online program. So
Wow.
yeah.
One last question I wanted to ask. Since you said you want to be the world's, number one entrepreneurship school, do you have any foreign students come in? And does like cultural differences change the way you look at entrepreneurship?
I think, we've had global students as well.
Yeah.
We've had like a couple who had come from Poland. A year and a half back, we had a student who came from Germany. That was really crazy because he said he looked at all the online, he looked online for all the different courses that offer entrepreneurship, and Midas appealed to him, which was insane. And finally, we've had couple of Indian students who are Dubai based, who come and, studied our program as well. Culture difference, 100%. Our mental space operates. I think India looks very, very chaotic from outside, but is extremely organized internally. Like we know how to cross the road with all the cars coming our way, right? So I think we are very, very differently wired. If you look at the north part, the western part of the world, they are very process driven. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's that. And if you look at Indians, they'll start with 8, they'll start with 2, they'll do what the hell they want to, but they'll get there. So for us, the destiny is never important. The journey is very important. For them, the destiny is the most important thing. The journey is written. So it's just, they follow the script. So yes, it is different teaching students who come, from abroad. But I think conceptually, entrepreneurship is an emotion.
Yeah.
So I truly believe that the emotion is definitely well received. And I think they learn a lot from us and we learn a lot from them. And I think it's not them better or us worse. It's about how can we differently contribute to the cultural mindset that they have, and how does that also improve our mindset in a way. So I think that's not going to be an issue eventually, because the beauty is that entrepreneurship is always the inner calling. So, and that all of us all over the world is same. We all have a heart that doesn't speak different languages.
Wow. Nice. Thank you so much. But before you go, I have a few set of rapid fire questions for you.
Okay, I'll try
which
to
are
be rapid.
which are a little light-hearted.
Okay.
We'll start with the education and all of that first, like mindset first, and then we'll go on to anything which is not related to Midas. Yeah. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Super. Idea or education?
Sorry.
Idea or education?
Idea.
Okay. Mentorship or self-study?
Mentorship.
Okay. Risk taker or a calculated planner?
Calculated planner.
Okay. Profit or purpose?
Purpose.
Wow. Pitch deck or product?
Product.
Wow. Digital marketing or word of mouth?
Word of mouth.
Wow. Morning person or night owl?
Night. Always.
Okay. One thing that you want to see Midas achieve in the next 5 years? Quick, short answer.
To become a global name.
Okay. The one entrepreneurial trait that you admire the most in your students?
Creativity.
Nice. One myth about entrepreneurship you would like to bust?
That you need VC funding to start businesses.
The most important lesson you have learned from your students?
I have learned that, it's never too late to learn, to study, to create. And you can be young at heart forever and in mind as well. So I think I love being a part of the system.
Wow. One thing you hope every Midas graduate takes with them?
Compassion.
Wow. Okay, now these are truth and dare. Okay. What's the unusual, surprising skill you have learned from a failure?
The surprising skill that I have learnt about myself is that I am stronger than I know.
Hmm. If you had to start a business in a field you know nothing about, what would it be?
Real estate.
Because family backing is there, कुछ तो पता
हाँ,
होगा.
कुछ तो हो जाएगा. कुछ ना कुछ कर ही लेंगे real estate में.
What's a small daily ritual that you follow that makes you stay centered, stay focused amidst all the chaos of running a school?
Honestly, two things.
Hmm.
So one is, for me, my me time is sacred.
Okay.
I need 20 minutes off from everything.
Wow.
It could be anything, but I just need that time where I am not answerable to anybody or anything. And I make sure I get that. The second part is, every day without fail, I will spend my certain amount of time with Furpy, my dog. I think it's therapeutic.
Therapy, yeah.
It's just two of us. I'm making conversations, he's staring back. And I love the unconditional love that I receive. So for me, these two things paralyze me if I don't have them.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you could have a conversation with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
I think I would love to talk to Steve Jobs. I think he's one of the most interesting, creative, innovative humans God has ever created. And I would love to have a conversation with that person.
Nice. What's one thing that you absolutely love about the city of Pune?
I think it's a very young, vibrant, full of energy sort of a city. You'll not actually see a lot of old people in Pune.
Yeah.
It's also called the Oxford of the East.
Yeah.
You will have, trust me, if you go to FC Road or you go to Senapati Bapat Road, every 500 meters there is a college. So it's insanity. So I think this city is so culturally driven, well developed, green, and I love Pune.
Nice. The name itself, the Midas, is so powerful. What's the story behind choosing the name?
So, of course, the entire part about whatever we touch turns gold. And I truly believe that our students are, becoming people that have a heart of gold. And of course, people are going to create a lot of wealth. But the acronym for Midas is Management, Innovation, Design, Arts, and Social Sciences. So we're trying to culminate that an entrepreneur needs to learn from all angles to become a very, very well-rounded human as well as a very good entrepreneur.
Nice. Okay, last question. You have said that you are the custodian of many dreams. And as we wrap this up, what is that one message of hope and motivation you would like to leave with, to all the dreamers and aspiring entrepreneurs that who are listening to this podcast?
I think action is very important. There's never a right time, a right place, a right occasion to do anything. So if you feel like doing something, you have the fire in the belly, you have the attitude that you can, change the world and impact in the right spirit, I want you to get up and start doing something about it. It's not about coming to Midas, it's about wherever you are, stop procrastinating, waiting for things to happen, because nothing happens without you doing it. So, one big learning in my life that wherever, of course, hope is important, कि हो जाएगा. But हो जाने के लिए भी you have to do so many things. So, don't wait for things to happen. Life's too short.
Yeah.
Even if it's failure, enjoy it, celebrate it. And it's okay, सब fail होते हैं. But
Yeah.
please don't waste your time waiting for the right time. I think for me, that is the most important thing that I'd like to say. Don't wait for the right time.
Wow. Pooja, thank you so much.
Thank you,
This
Malay.
has been super, super inspiring for me, most of all, and I'm sure for all the people who are listening as well. If people have to connect with you, where can they find you? How are you approachable? What are the
So I do have my own podcast channel as well.
amazing guests?
So if people could, subscribe for Insights with Midas, that's
Yes.
one part of it. And Malay, if you could share my Instagram profile and my LinkedIn profile, people can connect directly there. I'm very, very, active on Insta. And I love connecting with all my audiences, and I genuinely do. And if anybody really likes the concept of Midas, please visit our website, see what we do. It's very interesting work that we're doing. We are challenging the status quo in multiple ways,
Yes.
but I truly believe that only the right people come to Midas. So if you're the right one, please come.
Amazing. For all the listeners, you heard it. If you believe that you want to get into entrepreneurship and change the way your business would function, do get in touch with Pooja. And thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around till the end. I am Malay. This is Pooja Shah. Thank you once again. I hope to see you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.